A very good evening and welcome to a Date with an Set program 170 here on the 24th of September. I do hope this finds you well. It's very good to see you all and I hope you've had a good week. Indeed it was, Hannah. it was our dear friend Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh, indeed. And now, the reason I was playing that as our theme music tonight, well, Alison Newbury doesn't seem to be here. It's all your fault, Alison, really. Because in the context of another piece, a few weeks back, Alison said, oh, that one reminds me of Winnie the Pooh, and it's been in my mind ever since. It's a really great piece of music, actually, and it was 1966 for date on the tips of your tongues, and it was perhaps obviously composed by the Sherman brothers. And there they are with Walt Disney. I rather like that picture because it's almost as if the cameraman is saying, Mr. Disney, can you just stop talking about Epcot for a little bit? We just want to get one picture of you with your mouth shut. That's what I think that picture says. Oh, hello, Rosie. Wonderful. Fantastic. Whenever you arrive, whenever you arrive, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you, Daisy. Yes. Well, some of the flowers which I had last week have lived on, and so I did a bit of spontaneous flower arranging, but have decided clearly not to give up the day job. But one does have a few spare caddies in which coffee beans used to come hanging around, and it seemed a good use for them. And indeed, I feel sure that Illy Coffee will be paying me handsomely for using an empty coffee tin in which to arrange. It did take a long time to arrange them, actually, and you can imagine the care and the artistry that went into it as I was doing it. Anyway, enough waffling about the flowers. Tonight's tie you have seen once before on a Date with a Dinner Set. It was actually, it's a one-off, this one. It was made for me by a very dear friend that I would love to meet. I've never met this lady. She lives in Washington. She's a member of our church, Susan, and I don't know if she listens anymore to the programme. But during the pandemic, she very kindly handmade this tie and sent it across, and it was an absolutely amazing gift. Product placement, absolutely. I guess a bit like if somebody were to, I don't know, put a sign for driveways repaired or renovated in Herefordshire, and then advertise it in a YouTube program. I guess it's that sort of product placement. I don't know. It's just a thought. Anyway, you are almost welcome to a Date with Dinner Set program 170. We've reached the end of September, the last Sunday in September. I know it's shocking, isn't it? And I haven't put the summer shorts away yet, so that's an indication of where we are in the year. But Winnie the Pooh was our opening theme music tonight. Alison Newbury, I'm very disappointed you're not here because it's all your fault I played that. But there we go. So I'm looking down the list of pieces we're going to play tonight, and quite a mixture as usual. Quite a few golden oldies, although we do have a really quite a modern one somewhere. I can see the date 1969, so it's all bang up to date stuff this evening. Great fun to be had by me and other people. So whether you're watching live, as indeed all of you in the chat room are, or as most of you on some sort of catch-up, you are most welcome to this mixture, this sonic mixture of 9 sort of standards, a bit of film music, something from the musicals, a bit of a quirk, and a coffee tin full of flowers. So do enjoy this evening's programme, and if you are in the chat room and you wish to, do comment away, and we will try and get back to you as soon as we can. I'll get the production team to have a look out for any comments that are coming up. Indeed, as recent as that, brother. I won't point out your age in 1969, but you were already well on this planet by that point. I'm just going to say, all right? Indeed, it was. It was Chicago, that toddling town, and it was composed by this chap here, Mr. Fred Fisher, and it was composed in 1922, and it was a part of the sort of roaring 20s, that whole sort of range of songs. We've had pieces of music by Fred Fisher before in this programme, a very distinctive composer. And it did occur to me, well, that phrase, toddling town, I did have to look it up and remind myself of what it used to be. And a toddle was a dance, apparently, very popular in the 1920s. And that's where the phrase came from. But it was also said in a sort of tongue-in-cheek way, because Chicago was a bit of a sort of devil's city, really. But a great song, and I was very pleased to have found a little bit of footage, and I have put a credit to the people who created that lovely footage there. Good evening, Mr. Hogg. Good evening, Jeannie. How wonderful to see you both. Yes, indeed. Eventually, Frank Sinatra did a recording of that. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Frank Sinatra. I'd love to have seen him live. Quite an amazing singer, I would think. Judy Garland also did a version of it, but 1922 was when it was originally composed. That was our opening one this evening. We've only ever had that once before. You heard that here, that factoid. As always, do press the thumbs up button if you like what you see and you hear on A Date with Insight, programme 170 on the 24th of September. Okay, so the next piece of music is our new piece of music for this evening. What we try and do every week on A Date with a Dinner Set, have done for about a year now, is to introduce a new piece that we haven't heard before. The net result of which is that it takes longer and longer for certain things, like Chicago, to come back round. This is not my natural genre of music, but it seemed appropriate to be playing this evening. Can't think why you're laughing, Bob. Indeed. Just say indeed at that point. Mr. Roger Whittaker, who I believe passed away 14th of September. I'd already planned the programme for last week, so I couldn't make an inclusion then, but it seemed only fitting. Quite an amazing folk star, British folk star. And I learnt only this evening in this very chat room from my dear brother. I didn't realise that Roger Whittaker at some point resided in my old hometown, not Durham town, Herefordshire. That's quite amazing. But he was quite an iconic figure, and that was perhaps his most famous hit, Durham Town, or I think it's sometimes called Believing, that song, and it was from 1968. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Now look, the next piece of music is related to one that we had last week, and one of my fellow YouTubers actually wrote me a comment and said, well, you know, if there was this piece called this, then was there one called that as well? And the answer to that is yes, and I'm going to play it. Sorry, that made absolutely no sense, but it may do as I play our next piece of music, which we have had twice on A Date with a Dinner Set before. Do hope you enjoy. Excellent, Mars. Mars has the correct answer there. That one is called Smoking a Cigarette in Maine. It's a classic. A classic. Slightly nearer to the truth, however, is its relation to our favourite Left Bank 2, which we had last week, the gallery music from Vision On. But in actual fact, that was Left Bank 1. Left Bank 1. And it was recorded for the De Wolfe Library in 1964 by a group called the Novel Tones, which didn't really exist. It was just session musicians. It was composed by somebody called Wayne Hill. Now, if you study do study deeply, the label on the left, you'll see that it says Left Bank 1, and it's the A side of that record. Now, on the right, in the sort of tangerine, that is the reprinted version, and Left Bank 1 has become the B side. And the fascinating piece of information for that is that Left Bank 2 was the piece of music that got picked up by BBC Television for the Vision On series, which started in 1964. And as a result of that music becoming sort of so earwormy and popular, earworm-esque, earworm-like, earwormy, we'll stick with that one. It was actually re-released, but Left Bank 2 was put on the A side. Isn't it fascinating, the sort of information that you find out on this truly beyond amazing programme? Yes, indeed, brother. There is a Left Bank. They were both composed around about the same time. I'm going to say composed. I think they were largely improvised in the studio. And the reason for saying that is that within the actual official recordings, the De Wolfe Library recordings of Left Bank 1 and 2, there are a considerable number of mistakes, considering there are only 4 players, a vibraphone player, an acoustic guitar, an acoustic bass, and a drum kit, well, brushes really. There are an incredible amount of mistakes, but it's all in the spirit of the sort of thing that it was. Earwormily. Earworm-esque. Come here. Right, this has now officially become the topic for this evening's 8-8 Within a Set. All the variations on how we describe an earworm. I know we normally talk about sort of relatively interesting things like what you've had to eat or the weather, or indeed the music, but why not? Let's talk about earworms because they're far more interesting about which to talk. This month, by the way, I'm going to say it now because next Sunday, it will not be this month, is National Piano Month. I'm constantly reminded by that, by how out of tune my piano is going. They suddenly go, don't they? People who have pianos will know this. They seem fine, and you sort of get away with them, and then it suddenly starts to go, and all the strings go out in sympathy. I don't know. There we go. Anyway, that was Left Bank 1, and it was from 1964. 1964. We're going to have a little bit of a channel update later, but this is the usual one that you see, and really it's to the guests who may be watching in the background thinking, what on earth have I stepped into here? And it is to say, if you want to become involved in this channel, you do need to be subscribed, really, and press that bell notification if you want to know what's going on here on YouTube. Gigi the Piano Man, as you know, on a Sunday evening we do this program live at 18:30 for around about an hour. We also do a video upload every Friday. So there's always lots going on the channel which you can have a look at. Okay, on with our next song. I can only play this one today. I can't play it next Sunday. Would not be appropriate. Yes, indeed. September in the rain, as it very much was it not, the other day? 1937, you know, until I started doing this program, I knew that song, but I never knew it was quite that old, actually. Mark, people probably say that to you quite often, never knew you were quite that old. Harry Warren, there he is, dapper gent, who also composed 42nd Street, amongst other things. September in the Rain, 1937, and it was from the film A Melody for Two. It's been recorded by an awful lot of people, including Doris Day, Nora Jones, blah, blah, blah. Yes, so that's where that was from. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Oh dear, Alison, your sister. She always does this, doesn't she? Ah, well, there you see. There's a connection. This was by Susan from Washington, from church, Alison, handmade for me during the pandemic and posted across. A wonderful, wonderful gift. There we go. So, as always, if you wish to help towards the cost of running this absolutely ludicrous channel that we do here, when I run out of coffee beans, it's useful to have a few pennies to pop in the meter, literally, to top up the electricity and the Wi-Fi that we need to power this little machine. It's a fairly well-oiled machine, actually, that we've been doing for 170 programs. I know. This is the 170th program. Anyway, the link is below the video description. It is, as always, www.paypal.me/GGthepianoman. There you go. Here's one we've not had for about 18 months. You see, they take a long time to come around now. I'm sorry, Mark, you've just given me another feed line. I hear it all the time. I think it's really good that you can still hear it. You know, that's just good. Indeed, we'll meet again. I'm laughing at your comment, Mars, but I'm not going to draw too much attention to it. But I have heard something similar, as famously sung in 1939 by Vera Lynn and as composed by Ross Parker, who also composed "There'll Always Be in England." But there she is, Dame Vera, bless her. One of her most famous songs. Quite an interesting song. Alison, you have redeemed your lateness to the chat room this evening, because well done. You have an extra point there if points are being awarded for spotting the fact. And that's why I chose We'll Meet Again, because in the middle 8 of We'll Meet Again, it is very, very like Winnie the Pooh. So there you go. That's why one of the reasons we had that one this evening. So I do hope that you enjoyed that one. Hello, Vera. Indeed, very good. Very, very witty. Very witty, Mark. Whew. I tell you what, though, before we go any further, we need to discuss the fact that today, Sunday the 24th, is National Bluebird of Happiness Day. And why not? Why not? Pretty little bird, is it not? Quite often, the bluebird of happiness is quite an interesting phrase, actually, and I can think of at least 3 songs, not one of them by title now, as I'm trying to do, that we play on a date within a set that the lyrics refer to the bluebird of happiness, a sort of a sign of brighter times to come, if you like. As I say, pretty little bird, and today, apparently, is National Bluebird of Happiness Day. I'm not quite sure in what nation. I look these things up on the internet and up they pop, and that's what happens. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Well, do not tempt me on that one. Do not tempt me. Okay. On to our next piece of music. Yes, let's say yes at that point. Who said it first? Was it you, brother? Yes, it was. Well done. There he is, Mr. Burt Bacharach, and lyrics by Hal David. A happy picture when they were happy together in their partnership. Okay, so that was from 1968. It was from the musical Promises, and of course famously recorded by Dionne Warwick, with whom Burt Bacharach and Hal David had a very successful sort of recording partnership of some 20 or 25 hits, one after the other. But it's Burt Bacharach, so it's wonderfully composed with a few little sort of quirks in it, like a sort of 3-4 bar sort of chucked in just for kicks, really. Yes, we haven't had that one since February, when we did our Burt Bacharach special. In fact, we've been a little devoid of Burt Bacharach. We've been Burtless. And well, unless you've been recently spending a lot of time in an elevator. But on this programme, we've stayed away a little bit from Burt Bacharach because we devoted that whole programme to him back at the end of February, when we were still doing specials. Now, it is the last Sunday in September, and I did promise you a little bit of a channel update. I like to do this, share a few things that are going on this channel with you, because YouTube are very kind, aren't they? And they give me all sorts of statistics and metrics and things, and I'll share some of them with you, if I can find the right button. Where are you, button? There we go. So, as of earlier today, we, because of your support, have 492 subscribers, very close to that 500. More about that in a bit. This is just a little view of our most popular videos. You can see How Do You Keep the Music Playing is very popular for some reason. This tells us how many views we've had, blah, blah, blah. Our views are up this month. Our watch time's about 148 hours. We've got 7 more subscribers this month, which is fantastic. It really is so encouraging to know that the music that we do on this programme is shared around the world, and people like what we do. And we're fairly sort of even on returning viewers and things as well. So lots going on. Oh, that is our most unpopular upload ever from 6th of June. Sleepy Shores, only got 24 views. How bizarre is that? Never mind. Oh, Katara and Hana. People are saying, well, what's happened to the otters? Well, as far as I know, nothing has happened to the otters. I've just stopped featuring them. A little more about that. And what's happened to the G-Light, they say. So let's answer a few of those questions, because they are sort of channel related. So the original reason for including a little bit of footage from Katara and Hana on my channel Kotsume was to give me a mental break before we sort of set forth into the final 2 pieces. Well, what was actually happening was, because I couldn't play the actual soundtrack because their channel uses copyrighted music and I'd been infringing copyright, I had to do a voiceover dialogue, and therefore I didn't really get a break. And quite often, because I was just sort of dubbing it live, what Katara and Hana were up to, it made very little sense. They're still there. If you want to watch them, I still watch them, but it's just something that I've just let drop from the programme and hoped nobody would notice. In relation to the G-Light, which was made for me by my great friends Monty and Jamie some years ago, it's having a bit of a refurb, for which read I dropped it, the front fell off, and so it's just awaiting some nice glue to put it back together. That G-Light will return. So that's our channel update. I'm really, really pleased that we got to 492 subscribers. As I say, it's all down to your collective support wherever you are, wherever you're listening in the world. And I will share with you this wonderful email I got from YouTube about 10 days ago, when we had, I think we had about 490. And it was, it's one of those. I thought it was a personalised email. Really, it said, "Dear YouTube creator," and that was the general sort of tone of it. But the implication was, if I worked a little bit harder, I could get to 500 subscribers and receive a certificate telling me that thing. So I've taken that challenge on board. I am going to try and work a bit harder. I clearly don't put enough effort into this channel, according to YouTube, but we'll try and do that. On the other hand, if you, anybody out there listening, watching this, know somebody who might enjoy our type of music that we do here on Duty to Piano Man, do recommend the channel to them, because the more subscribers, the better. We are teasingly close to 500 subscribers, and it's just a nice number, isn't it? So we've had some quite sedate music this evening. I think it's time to liven things up a little bit with our next piece of music. Do enjoy. Well spotted. Well, well spotted. A new little bit of video. The reason for changing that one, it was more appropriate to the Latin American dance that that piece of music was. That piece of music was eventually, as you told me, I Love You and Don't You Forget It, which is a samba. And so I searched out a bit of footage relating to samba, and that what it was, rather than my general, what I call my general Latin American with the sort of the dancey people in the Rio Carnival. It's a great bit of footage, but that one just seemed a little bit more appropriate. Yes to all of that. Anyway, that's what it was. It was from 1963, composed by himself, Mr. Henry Mancini. And yes, shall I tell my anecdote about meeting Henry Mancini and playing that very piece for him in a restaurant, and he whispering in my ear and saying, well, where did you learn to play that? Well, Mr. Mancini, I learned it from the book, which I hastily bought at lunchtime from the South Kensington Music Shop, because the manager of the restaurant said, look, we've got Henry Mancini and Johnny Mathis coming in tonight. Can you play some of their music? And I said, no. So I went to buy some music for them. No, I won't bother with that anecdote. We've done that one before. But that's what it was. I Love You and Don't You Forget It from 1963. Just before we go on, we have 2 more songs to go, by the way. This week's upload that went up on Friday was another Cole Porter. We're still in September, so it's Cole Porter all the way on the Friday uploads. One of his very famous ones from 1956 from High Society, True Love. And there's the rest of the flowers in their glass vase before some of them died off, and we had to bung them in a coffee pot because the stems are all woody and they were leaking. Anyway, that's the upload. There's a link to it in the video description if you fancy having a look at that. True Love, very famous. It's garnered quite a lot of views, and even if you only listen to it for a few seconds, it gets me an extra view, and that's what we like. From High Society from 1956. So we will still be in September next Fridays. We have one more Cole Porter upload, and playing a nice lively one for that, which will be lots and lots of fun. So do have a look out for that when it comes up next Friday, the whatever it is, 29th of September. That sounds about right. Right, we have 2 more songs to go, so enjoy our next one. thought you were being cynical there, saying fast train thing, but it's strangely on the right sort of track, or in the right sort of channel, shall we say. But Miles got the correct answer. It was, of course, a Slow Boat to China. Slow Boat to China from 1948, composed by Mr. Frank Loesser. And Slow Boat to China is a sort of a phrase, apparently, from poker, referring to somebody who loses pretty dramatically, but in a very slow way, in comparison to a trip to China on a boat, which, of course, at the time of that song being written, would have been a very, very long time. So that's where that phrase came from. So amongst the people to record that song, Slow Boat to China, include Bette Midler, Barry Manilow, Miss Piggy. Random facts that you hear here on A Date with a Dinner Set. And just before we launch into our final song, a reminder, if you would like to, do like, comment and share on what you are, on what you have been watching and listening to. It does help our channel to grow, because I would like to be able to report next month when we do our channel update at the end of October. Gosh, that sounds a weird phrase, at the end of October. We've got some more growth to report, so if you can, do give it a like, a comment, and share it on. Here's one that we've not had again for about 18 months. We used to get it about every 4 months. A very popular one, but a nice thank you, brother. Thank you very much. And I liked your drive as well, chap. So here's one that I think you will instantly know. It's a very popular one on A Date with a Dinner Set. We'll do this one a nice gentle end before we say good night in our usual way. What a wonderful world! Gosh, you all got a bit teary-eyed then. I could tell by the comments. It is a wonderful world. We are very lucky, are we not? Indeed, and what a smile as well on Mr. Louis Armstrong. Miles, in answer to that, not quite. That was right, man. We have all the time in the world. The last piece of music he recorded, he died about 2 weeks after that was recorded for. Was it on Her Majesty's Secret Service? Anyway, that was our final song this evening, What a Wonderful World, from 1967, composed by George David Weiss. So I do hope that you enjoyed that one, and I do hope you have a very good last week of September. So I'll just say from all the team here in the studio, thank you so much for being a part of A Date with a Dinner Set this evening. Do take care of yourselves, and I look forward to the great pleasure of playing for you next month. Have a good week. Thank you so much for listening. Good night.